Hello, welcome to the On Fire system, On Fire Fridays. Here we are. It's April 8th, 2028. We're just wrapping up the tax season with our online entrepreneurs and our client base. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you are an entrepreneur. Maybe you're online and you're looking to optimize your financial operations. We often talk about, finance as being one of the stools of, building an incredible business. I think we were just talking about this, that a lot of folks don't, understand the importance of finance, but don't really understand, what the finance component is to running, your great business. And today we're going to talk, as we finish up the tax season, I'd like to talk about tax planning, tax strategy, and really just, this season, unbelievable amount of clickbait out there as far as, zero taxes, cutting your tax liability next to nothing, et cetera, et cetera. And believe me, we are, at CPA on Fire, we are on the forefront of looking for tax strategies for entrepreneurs. And so I'm always interested in watching some of the bigger, wealth management guys out there talk about taxes and tax strategies, as well as maybe some of the lesser known guys out there. And it just seems that, when you open up the emails or you open up into the YouTube sessions, it's a lot of what I call sand in the hand. You think you have a scoop full of sand and you open it up and there's really nothing there. And that, a lot of the strategies they talk about, for somebody who's, doing well, yeah, they're tax deductions, but they're not going to bring your tax liability to zero. And, I've been doing this 25 years as a CPA and former attorney. I've been doing a lot of different tax strategies through the years. And it really does come down to, planning, and not only planning, but what I term long-term versus short-term. Short-term, I'm not going to save you $1 million this year in taxes, unless, you have a tremendous amount of income. But over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, maybe I will save you $1 million by taking the right strategies, revisiting it, course correcting, over that time. So, there's a couple things I want to talk about today. One is, what is tax planning? Sort of what bucket do you fit in as far as the size of your business? How do you get tax help? How do you build these strategies? And then I just thought I'd talk about the sort of just some of the bigger items that you guys should be aware of. Maybe you're not working with a professional, or maybe you are, that maybe is not familiar with your space. So the first thing is, as I discussed, long-term versus short-term, and the size of your company. I think that, if you have a business that's doing, maybe under $1 million in revenue, at a minimum, you should have a qualified tax professional working with you. And the most important piece to this is having a tax professional that's willing to meet with you during the year. So we're filing in 2022, we file for 2021. If somebody were to book an appointment with me as a new client, as a prospect, there's very little I can do at this point for 2021. So I think that, if you have an online business, at a minimum, you should be having a meeting with your tax professional during the year. I always like to look at the last quarter, maybe the November timeframe, when you still have time to do things, you still have an opportunity to conduct business and take advantage of certain tax planning ideas for that year. So that would be the first place to start, right? So under $1 million, you're doing a fourth quarter tax review plan. And then also, part of that service, there should be a long-term tax strategy. I always look at 5 years, ideally 10, and that's sort of the trajectory of your business, right? So if you're doing $500,000 in sales, you've been in business for a year and a half, but man, you really understand now your audience, you really understand their needs. I think I'm going to go to $1.5 million. I think I'm going to go to 3 million in the next, 2 years, 3 years. Like, your accountant, your tax professional needs to know that. They need to know and understand, the trajectory of your business, and to do that planning, not just for 2021 or 2022, but all the way through 2025, 2026, to really take advantage, and make the moves today to be able to save you those taxes in the going forward years. That's a lot of structuring. That's how you, look at your portfolio of revenue streams, and how do maybe you parse that out and structure it properly. For those of you guys that are making over $1 million in revenue, I really suggest working on the quarters with your tax professional, revisiting your tax strategy, your tax plan every quarter, making those course corrections during the year, because I'm a big believer kind of knowing where you're going, right? Having a plan, having budgets, making great business decisions based on great information, timely information. So being able to look at your projection, particularly those of you guys that are really, some of our clients, their revenue streams are just climbing, growing. You guys are growing rapidly, scaling your businesses. There's a lot of changes that come with our tax code as the revenue and your income increases. So, if you are at $1 million, or even if you're less than $1 million, but you have a very steep growth curve, you should be meeting with your tax professional on a quarterly basis, right? Couple of things, right? We talk about estimates and also tax projections. So there's sort of think about a 2-step process: what we absolutely need to give to the IRS during the year, and then ultimately, with a growing business, you can anticipate probably paying taxes higher come April than you did in the previous April. So knowing, not being surprised by that tax liability amount at the end of the year. So those are just sort of the, for you guys as entrepreneurs, where do I start? What's the right cadence to meet with my tax professional? So under $1 million, at least a year-end planning call. And then if you're over $1 million, or you have a very steep, growth curve, you should be doing it at least on the quarters. Okay. Just some of the bigger points I just want to talk about, looking at, number one, I see prospects. The 2018 tax changes included something called QBI, qualified business income, and that's a credit. And I'm seeing, as I pick up new clients, I see that the previous tax professional didn't maximize those credits. So very important. That's a 20% haircut on your federal taxes. Very important to have a discussion with your tax professional. Again, it's qualified business income credit. The other, big item, I think that, people hear about, but maybe they don't take advantage of the right structure or the right plans, is the retirement plans. I have clients that don't want to do anything for retirement. They want to reinvest everything they make to continue to grow. And I have other clients that want to maximize their retirement deferral. So we work with both sides. But again, that's a big piece, could be a big number for you guys as far as deferring your revenue, or putting in some type of plan that you have now. You have a team, you're trying to attract the best talent. What are my options, as an entrepreneur that's building a team to attract the right talent, as far as, retirement benefits and things like that. Some of the smaller items that I think get a lot of play, but, definitely need to be cognizant of is, and that's as we work all, here, this is my home office, as we have home offices, are we allowed to take deductions? What can we take? What are the special rules for home office? I always feel like the IRS is, particularly with their lawmaking, is always a little behind the curve. So I don't think anybody anticipated so many of us would be working from home, utilizing our home internet and our home spaces for business. So, again, that's been some established case law that may not fit today's environment. So being able to properly navigate that and to maximize that. And then secondly, vehicles. You hear a lot about vehicles and about what are we able to do. At the end of the day, it all depends on obviously your business, how often you use the vehicle for your business, where you need to title it, things like that. But, from my standpoint, home office, vehicles, different types of supplies for your business, obviously that matters. Every dollar matters, but having that long-term tax plan in place is going to save you way more dollars than being able to take this deduction or that deduction on your tax return. Not that that's not important, but I can't emphasize to you guys enough to have that long-term plan, to have an active strategy throughout the year on that plan, and then to take into consideration, like we mentioned, the QBI, home office deductions, vehicles, maybe some travel things. So again, this is Ron Parisi on Fire Fridays. We try to give you sort of the best content to you, the entrepreneur, to optimize your business, not leave any money on the table. So, hey, appreciate it. Always love spending Fridays with you. We're going to attack. I did budget last week, and I got a lot of feedback that was too short. So I think we're going to go next Friday. We're going to do how to do a budget for Q2, Q3, Q4, 2022. As always, go out there and crush it. I'm Ron Parisi, CPA on Fire. Thanks for being with us.